You're a middle-aged woman and you kind of can't forgive yourself. You know you need to do something different. You know you're being called into a different vision and stage in your life in some way. It's like this small, still voice that's talking to you. And in a way, you might feel like you can't get out of your own way to actually listen to what's being said, to recreate the vision in a way that fits for something that's more in alignment for who you are and how you've evolved. And I want to ask you to have compassion for yourself. Can you give yourself some grace? Can you know that much like if you're a mother, your children evolve, right? They grow and they change and they transform before your eyes. It's so visible to us that you too are in a constant state of evolution. You too are showing up in a whole different space. You've had a different set of experiences and life journey that you now arrive in a really different space. And even though you've been super successful and you've owned your own business or on that corporate journey and you've done all the things and you're very, very successful, you're kind of in a space of not being sure how to lean in to revise your life and to revise the vision. And so today, that's what we're going to be talking about. So if that resonates for you as something that might be helpful, then hi, my name is Jen, the founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness. I'm a transformational purpose coach. And what I do is work with women to get really clear that even though in midlife you're super successful, you're feeling like there might be layers of midlife stuff kind of coming in and it's making it murky. So you might have an aging parent or you might be going through some menopause. You've got some stuff kind of coming in, right? There's things shaking up. So what can happen is our own personal revision for our business and our life might kind of have taken like this really like low rung kind of priority. And what I want to help you do is get clarity on where you want to go, how you're going to do that, and pull that priority from like way down on that lower rung all the way up to front and center for you to help you get a vision of your life that feels more fully aligned with who you've become in your journey. And you have shifted and changed. And you deserve to lean into a vision that is much more congruent to the woman that you are now than the woman that you may have been when you created it in the first place. And so I hope that you'll lean in and listen today because we're going to talk about being open to revision. So I spent over 15,000 hours sitting across the couch from people writing psychotherapy. And what I know is that this was one of the places people often needed permission, was to revise the story that they had of what their life was going to be like for a million reasons. Maybe it was trauma, maybe it was a mental health issue, maybe it was just a big loss, a trauma, all those things kind of piled in there. And they don't necessarily know how to revise and give themselves permission to step into a new space, which is what I'm super passionate about doing. So I'm a big believer in new beginnings and giving yourself permission to try again and again and again. So today we're going to talk about 4 pieces of being open to revision. One is giving yourself grace to reconfigure. One of the things that I think women are really commonly doing in midlife is they're like gaslighting themselves and they're super being to themselves inside. They're like, well, you already have your shit together. What else do you need? Oh my God, so-and-so is always pointing out how awesome your life is. It must be really great. How selfish is it to lean into this, right? We'll have these whole dialogues, this narrative in our heads about what it means to reconfigure. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Midlife is about reconfiguring. Like in totality, it's reconfigure, right? Life circumstances, empty nesting, parents aging, hormones, body changes, career changes, purpose awareness. There's all these players that are hanging out here, and it's all about reconfiguring, right? And we can shift the narrative from crisis-centered to reawakening and revisioning and shifting and changing and reconfiguration. To me, that is so much more exciting and powerful than the one that's like, well, it's just a shit heap. Okay, we're gonna fix that. We don't need to live in that narrative anymore. And it's absolutely so important to give yourself grace to reconfigure. That's number 1. 2, know that the revision is necessary. Revision is necessary. I'm gonna say it again because somebody is not gonna listen to this. Revision's necessary. When you have a vision, that is amazing for that moment. As it unfolds, you will want to attend to it in all of its entirety, in all of its forms. So let me say this, if you're going on a tour, if you're going on a traveling, like a road trip, for example, I'm going on a road trip, I'm in my car, And I have the map in my, so for example, I drive between Minnesota and Wisconsin. Okay. When I go to visit family, I take Highway 94. And I'm like, well, 94 is what gets me there. One time there was an actual flood and part of 94 was closed down legit, which has never happened in all of my years of being in the Midwest that I'm aware of. And we had to detour. So do I go, hey, I know that it says it's unsafe because there's a flood, but let's keep going this way because despite all the warning signs and all the things I'm seeing that tell me it's not a good idea, I'm going to keep it on. That's probably a bad idea, right? I don't have like a canoe and oars, and that sounds like a bad plan. So I'm going to respect the detour. I want you to learn to respect the detour. That sometimes in our vision, we're going to have to get a little bit flexible in like, oh, I showed up to this and this is how I thought it was going to be, but it might be taking this form instead. If we hold too tightly, if we grip, we're very often going to miss really important detours that are actually getting us where we want to go. I try to adopt, try being the powerful word there, a very discerning kind of idea in my business. If something magical shows up and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, that was not the way that I was going to do it. No, I lean in and like, that podcast, that collaboration, that retreat, this thing, I'm here for it. Thank you, Lord, for revising and giving me a detour because it's something magical for me. So if I adopt this really beautiful attitude about it, it's going to show up differently for me. So revision is something we can actually embrace. We can do it in our lives. We can do it in our businesses. We can do it in our purposes. Like we can do it in every area of our lives. So I want you to really adopt this idea. Like I know revision's necessary and I'm going to trust it like I would a detour. Okay. We change, our situations change and evolve. So like we come away different human beings with time. So I might have one journey and one vision of my business and what I'm doing in my purpose, and then be granted circumstances that show me that there's something that I want to adjust. This is so powerful. Like we change. Our value sets with time shift a bit, right? In midlife, we become very, very clear very often what our values really are. Our values become pretty firm and we don't want bullshit. We don't have time for bullshit. We start to really cut out the things that don't serve us. And so we really kind of become brass tacks, which is what I love about midlife. Actually, it's one of the things I really appreciate is this like wisdom. I'm not going to hang out with people, places, situations, things that do not serve me. If they're not holding space for my energy and they don't elevate me, I don't partake in it. That took me a lot of years to arrive at, right? So when we change and evolve, we want to respect that. And then we want to revise how we're showing up to things to really honor who we are and how we're showing up. We want to receive that kind of information so that we can show up and continue to evolve ourselves, right? That makes perfect sense. So I want you to really respect that piece of that story. And then we want to be willing to go back to the plan. So a couple of times ago, I talked about in this series where I'm talking about vision, about the plan. We know we want to go back to that plan and make little tweaks. So I started in one space, and as I do this journey, I might land in a little bit of another, and I want to routinely give time to look at the vision. Does the vision still feel right to me? Does it still feel in alignment? Does it still feel like the space that I want to go in? Do I make space for nuance? Do I say, wow, okay, so I was going there, that felt good. I started down the journey, and then I went, this no longer feels right anymore. Can I give myself permission to listen to that? And am I checking in with myself enough to really pick up that nuance, the small little pieces along the way? If we're not, we're likely to miss some of the parts of the journey that we really want to pay attention to. So this is where that being open to revising things and revision so important is that it's going to evolve. You are going to evolve. The story, the business, the dream, it's going to evolve with you. That is absolutely human and natural and so important. And so you might arrive in a place where, listen, years ago, well, yeah, it was kind of years ago, I did a lot of yoga nidra classes. I love teaching meditation. Love it, love it, love it. I started in these steps of implementing things that I knew I loved and honored and wanted to show up somewhere in my business. And what I really uncovered was that wasn't getting to the depth of the work that I wanted to provide people. So even though, and for a while I was selling packages of 3, 5, and 7, whatever service people wanted. So I have a whole host of things I offer, right? And it wasn't filling me up. I thought I was being super inventive. It seemed very, very smart at the time. Like, oh, well, I'll just have all these different options and that'll just be amazing, right? And then every single person will have an option that fits them, which is amazing for you. It wasn't amazing for me. Because at the end of those sessions, people go, cool, thanks for that time. I really appreciate it. Done. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Bless your ever loving heart. You're just getting started to really dive into something really powerfully for yourself. And I wouldn't necessarily consider the work done. And I understand, like, in our culture, it's like start and finish. Like, well, cool, I'm done. Like, no, but that's not it. I don't want to spend just 3 sessions with you. I want to spend 6 months, a year. Like, the way that I work with people, where my passion lies, is in diving really deeply into the root of all the things that are going on for you and really helping you unravel, make sense, and rise up out of that to revise the story that you're living in. I can't do that in 3 sessions. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm making the waters muddy by offering too many things in too many configurations. And some of them don't even bring me joy and alignment. So I had to reconfigure and go, nope, that doesn't work. I'm not offering that anymore. I completely crossed them all the way off of even an option. And now a lot of my offerings are literally mindfully crafted. Sometimes they get tweaks, but they're mindfully crafted of like, what feels good to me? I am best serving you when ... That's how I serve my purpose on a platter to people. My legacy comes through the way that feels most in alignment for me. So that's just an example of a way where that's a nuance. I was providing classes and services and like packages and it was good and I enjoyed it. Was I diving deep with people? No. And that's really where I shine. And what I love to do is to really know the nuances of who you are, how you function, and what you want to take away. That's the money for me. Like, that's where I'm like, oh, I love that so much. And I get so excited. So again, right, give yourself grace to reconfigure. Know that the revision's necessary just as it is to respect a detour on the road. We change our situations. We change our situations, the people who are around us, all that evolves. Just make space for the evolution, right? Just know this is coming, this is normal, and then be willing to go back and change the plan. So your plan might need a little bit of a revision, routinely looking at how you've laid things out and is it working and is it feeling like it's resonating well for you? So if this is something that you're like, oh, yes, I need all these steps and I understand that these are important pieces. So I'm going to invite you to take me up on a phone call. So if you want to hop on a Rise to Purpose phone call for me, what we do is we pop in, we identify what's going on for you, where you want to go, and I support you in starting that journey. And so whatever that is, whether it's small steps, big steps, we start getting you ideas about how you can revise your plan and sit in this space and give yourself permission and grace to know that you might need to make a change. You might need to make a shift. We might have to pivot a little bit. Pivot, right? Okay, we're going to give yourself permission to pivot. And so I invite you to hop on a call, send me a message, drop a link, a comment in below that says, love to do a call. I will reach out to you. We'll get you set up. It's free. It's 45 minutes to an hour, and you're going to walk away with some new skills and tools that I promise you're going to receive, because that is what I do. That is what I do. That is what I love to do. And so I just want to give you that opportunity to really speak through how to revise and get yourself moving in that direction. So my friends, I'm going to send you blessings, love, and light. This is Jen signing off until next time, supporting you to rise on your path to purpose in midlife and making sure that you're having the best second half that you can possibly have. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.